It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Mississippi Valley State's head women's basketball coach, Coach Kimberly Anderson. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in collegiate basketball?
Well, it all started when I was in high school. I had a niche for just loving the game. And my high school coach, Pat Hewitt, wherever she went, she always inspired me to be a part of her program. So I actually started from the high school level coaching.
Of course, what was your experience like getting to play collegiate basketball?
Well, you got to love it to be able to do it. Where I come from Hartsville, South Carolina, it either was to work in the fields or find something to do. So I decided that I wanted to play basketball at a very young age, and I started actually in middle school. I had sisters that played. So I actually followed my sisters around a lot, going through their practice and everything, but I didn't realize that I was going to be a member of that basketball squad as a fifth grader, because the high school coach always took me everywhere they went. So that's basically how I got started, because I was always around it, even as a little girl.
Of course, what was that experience like being around basketball at such a young age with your older sisters?
Oh, we was always competing. Always competing. I always thought in my mind I was better than my sisters. There was always fights on the court, but it was excitement. So my sister was actually the one, and my brothers was the one that made me better, made me the player that I was back then.
What was that feeling like for you as a player to get to put on your first collegiate basketball uniform?
Oh my God, it was awesome. Just to be a part of something and feel like I belong to something, it was extra special. And for a coach to actually, Coach Nelson, to take me up under his wings and develop me as a player, it was just overwhelming.
What were some of your biggest accomplishments as a player playing collegiate basketball?
Well, that was like 35 years ago. But, when I played at Claflin College, we had such great, phenomenal athletes. And it was like I'll average 20 points a game or 10 rebounds. There was somebody here who averaged 24 points. And we all, I made All-American team. We had so many outstanding players on the team. I can't just pinpoint myself as being great, because we had so much greatness that involved around the sport.
Of course, after your collegiate time, what was it like getting into coaching and going to Land College to get started coaching?
Well, it was a lot of prayer for me, because actually coming from a Division II school at Claflin, and I had to keep filling out resumes, putting myself out there, making a name for myself, getting involved with the coaches who are already involved in basketball. But a lot of times I spend time praying, God, please, if there's a chance for me, show me the way. And that's basic. Go ahead.
While at Landon, what were some of your biggest accomplishments as a coach?
Well, in 2012, 2013, I won a national championship at Concordia College. Then 2018, 2019, I gave Lane College, since 1982, their first conference championship as a coach.
Of course, what was that experience like being a part of that first championship since so far ago?
Well, with the young ladies that I had, and the experience with them was trying to teach them how to stay focused, trying to teach them how to be disciplined. So it was a challenge because you're talking about, you're trying to win a championship and you're trying to keep all your athletes basically on the same page. But, with the girls that I actually had for 4 years, and I did it in 4 years. It was an experience because you have to keep motivating your athletes. You have to keep inspiring them that they're great. They're better than the next team that's coming up. And I will always tell them, every team that we play is a rival team. So that was basically, the spot plug as far as getting them started, getting the morale up.
Of course, after landing college, what was it like transitioning into being a head coach and coming to Mississippi Valley State?
Well, being that this was not my first rodeo, I just don't look at a Division II school or Division I school. I look at why God placed me here. I want to come into Valley and change the culture as the head coach, bringing in my own players to do something different than any other coaches. But I knew in order to do that, I had to get out and find different girls that would fit and be a fit for this program.
Of course, what was that feeling like getting announced to become the head coach for Mississippi Valley?
Well, the funny story is about that is that when the president called me in, and I stayed on campus about 5 or 6 hours. Then when he called me in his office, he was like, Coach, we have another candidate that's that we're looking at. And I believe I asked the president, President Briggs, I said, President Briggs, I said, do you have my phone number? He said, yes, I do. I said, why are you calling somebody else? So I was immediately hired on the spot because I just felt like this is the job that God was landing me on. So I wasn't gonna let this job escape my hands.
Of course, what was that feeling like the first time you got to step onto that court as the new head coach?
Oh, I'm always humble. And I'm always thanking God for allowing me to come into a Division I program coming from the SIAC. So I felt like it was my opportunity that was presented, to me. And I was just happy. I was just happy that President Briggs saw into me. And so that feeling was, go ahead.
Of course, as the head coach, what has that been like transitioning from being a Division II coach to now being a Division I coach?
I don't look at it any different. I look at it as coming in, still trying to do a job. Finding athletes that would be a fit for this program. I believe no matter where you coach, you still got to get them ready. Whether it's Division I or Division II, you still got to get out there and recruit the best athletes for your program.
What was that process like getting to build the coaching staff and the players around you?
Well, when I first got here, there was actually already players that was already in place. And so I had to deal with that first season. And so the second season, I didn't like where we performed the first season because I got in here late, but I had some tremendous coaches to help me get out. As soon as the season was over, I got out and started recruiting. I felt like every time somebody would beat me, I'm like, oh Lord, I don't like to lose. So I got to get out and start working.
What was that process like looking for those prospective student athletes as a head coach, a new head coach?
Well, being that I've already had experience with coaches, going out there coaches, and I had built relationships with other high school coaches and JUCO coaches. So the process was basically the same. Like I said, it's just going out there, finding the right person, the right fit for your program that's willing to give 110%, but without any excuses.
How was that feeling like for you the first time you got to step onto that basketball court as the head coach?
It felt great. It felt great. It made me feel like I am a winner. just walking on the court, because I've been there before. I'm like, in the name of Jesus, God, if this is where you want me to be, show me how to do this. It was just a phenomenal feeling.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a coach versus for your players?
Actually focusing on getting my kids mentally and physically conditioned to play. That's the biggest part of getting your kids ready, making sure that everybody has a sound mind, and their focus is on the game.
Of course, who are some of the teams in your conference that you play each week?
Well, you talking about Texas Southern, Jackson State University, and you talking about Alabama and A&M, just to name a couple. Every team that I play is a rivalry team.
Of course, what is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Texas Southern comes to home versus going to Alabama A&M and playing them away?
Well, the difference is that I'm home. I feel like at home I have a better chance of winning. Now on the road, if I'm at Texas Southern, I'm thinking about the win, but I realize where I am. So you have to play, because no coach or anybody's going to give you anything at their home. So you're gonna have to work extra hard. But at home is a wonderful feeling, because you got your people behind you, your crowd.
What is that home game atmosphere like at Mississippi Valley?
Well, this year I'm hoping with the athletes that I brought in thus far, that we're gonna have more people at the games. When you talk about walking into the gym, people want to know that they're coming into a winning environment. So I'm hoping to change that this year.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've started to build for the Mississippi Valley women's basketball program?
Well, I brought in several key athletes. I brought in Tanaya Morant, who's the brother of Jay Morant. And I also brought in some kids from Germany, Spain. So I will have a very diverse team. I also brought in a young lady by the name of Jayla Reed. Her jersey got placed in Knoxville, Tennessee, as far as having the most points. So she's up there with Candace Parker, Sue Bird, Brianna Stewart. So I plan on changing the culture, because I got pretty good athletes like me that's energized, that want to work.
What does that recruitment process look like, and what do you look at in those prospective student athletes when going out to these basketball tournaments?
Can you repeat the question for me?
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes?
Well, I had a talk with my young ladies actually yesterday, and my student athletes that are here, my new ones that are here, was like, Coach, we got to get ready. We know where the program was last year. We want to bring a different level of energy. We're ready. So those girls are working extremely hard. Now that I have them on campus, I think they're mentally and physically ready to compete.
Of course, as the head coach, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes when going out to these big tournaments?
Well, I look for players that, like I said, that being that we're in Itta Bena, Mississippi, I look for players that has a sound mind, that's very athletic, that's very competitive, that love the game, and like I said, and want to be a part of this program.
What does that official visit look like at Mississippi Valley?
Well, I try to give them the best. I try to show them the best. You have to be impressive on every end. So, giving them nice place to stay, making sure they're fed, making sure they're happy. They like what they see when they come on campus.
As a head coach, what are some of the things that you've been able to accomplish this far?
Well, I think as a head coach, what I have accomplished is teaching them life. Because as a head coach, I feel like no matter where these kids are coming from, their life consequences it can have a conflict with them being on the court. So I try to develop them like their mindset to see where they are in their mental state so that they can be ready to perform for me.
As the head coach, what is that like seeing those freshmen put on that Mississippi Valley jersey for the first time?
For me, I'm happy. For them, they're a little scared. I got some that have, like I said, this is the first time they're actually being at college. So you talking about their first experience, trying to get a feel of everybody on the court, remembering everybody's name, finding their role. So it's exciting for me, but a little fearful for them.
What is that like, obviously, as a head coach, seeing those freshmen blossom into seniors and putting that jersey on for the last time representing Mississippi Valley?
You know, when I look at my athletes turning into especially my freshmen, I know when I was a freshman that it was going to be a challenge for them. So what I have to do as a coach and seeing them blossom, I see their independence. So it's like they no longer need me to hold their hand. So now they're feeling comfortable with themselves that they can be able to compete with whatever on the court.
As the head coach, what is that experience like getting to see those seniors put on that last jersey in college and their first jersey in professional basketball, whether it's the WNBA?
As a coach, and knowing that I have been a role model and a mentor in their lives, and that then they can just go out and be this professional ball player, it brings to me, that shows character. It shows leadership. And so, it's just like me having a child. You want to make sure that they're in the right place at the right time, that they can elevate by themselves through the experience that they had on the collegiate level. That's exciting. That's exciting to me.
What are some of your biggest coaching accomplishments at Mississippi Valley?
Well, being that this is my first season, if you ask me after the season this year, I best can tell you.
Of course, what is that feeling going to feel like, obviously, to have those accomplishments at Mississippi Valley and have those great wins?
Oh, and then I'm going to claim that in the name of Jesus. When I get these great wins, it's going to be overwhelming. Because I felt like I'm feeling like my young ladies has accomplished our goals. And we have a lot of goals that are set.
What are some of your future plans for the Mississippi Valley women's basketball program moving forward?
Well, my future plans is to actually bring in better athletes. Each year, build up the program and bring in better athletes.
What advice would you give those high school athletes that are looking to become college basketball players?
Say it again now.
What advice would you give those high school athletes looking to become college basketball players?
I would tell them to keep up every day. They need to get up and work on their skills. While everybody else is sleeping, they need to be working out. Find a good coach that can implement the basic fundamentals of the game so they'll be able to grow. And by the time they get to college, they won't be so far behind.
What advice would you give those freshmen entering their first year of collegiate basketball?
The first thing that I tell my young ladies that's coming in, they must know about life. And what the reason I say life, because a lot of times when you have a freshman that's coming in, sometimes they get distracted from life. So teaching them how to stay focused and grounded, especially in the classroom. So I feel like my mom always told me, a woman that knows themselves, knows God, and all things shall be added. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to add not just the basketball portion, but being a student first. And if they can learn how to be a student and learn how to find themselves, that basketball is it's gonna come.
What advice would you give those college basketball players looking to go play professionally, whether it's Athletes Unlimited or go professional overseas?
As myself, and the advice that I can give others, you have to sell yourself. You have to keep working hard, extremely hard every single day, because there's nothing in life is given to you. My opportunity to play overseas came from playing in a gym. So at all times, you have to be ready. You don't know who's watching you. You have to keep up your game every single day. You have to eat, you have to sleep it.
What advice would you give those future basketball players looking to become Olympians and represent Team USA or Canada?
Keep working. Keep working. Never stop chasing your dream.
What advice would you give those college basketball players looking to get into college coaching after their playing career?
That's a good question you asked me, because someone just asked me that yesterday. I would tell her that she would have to sell herself. Never give up on her gifts. Get involved with some of these college coaches so that you can be engaged and learn more about the game. Then once your name is out there, a job is out there waiting.
What advice would you give those college coaches looking to become head coaches one day and build their own program?
Start putting in your resume, start making connection with coaches. And it's always best, like for myself, I always stay connected to my high school coaches, but I also got out there and I met other coaches that I felt that can help me, even if they go to the WBCA, Women's Convention, meet coaches out there. There's a lot of great coaches at those conventions.
That's great advice. What advice would you give those coaches looking to build their own program and build their own legacy as head coaches?
Well, with me, I always pin back to myself, because I had very few people that helped me. And a lot of times I had to be a go-getter. I had to set my own standards. I had to build my own relations. Like I said, a lot of times I spent myself talking to God and asking him to open up doors for me. But you have to be consistent. No matter what you do in life, ain't nobody gonna just give you a silver spoon to say, hey, the door is open. It's something you have to do on your own. You have to be motivated to go out, to travel, to meet coaches, spend time with coaches in order to elevate yourself to get that next job.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media, along with the Mississippi Valley State Women's Basketball Program app?
Where can you find me at?
Mm-hmm.
On Twitter, on Facebook. I'm not a good, I let out my assistant coach do all the work. I feel like I'm 55. They updated with all that stuff. So basically, I let my assistant coaches, because they're young, they kind of put everything out there.
Of course, where can our listeners find Mississippi Valley's Women's Basketball Program app?
On Twitter. On Twitter. We all over. We on YouTube. We all over the place.
Thank you again, Coach Kimberly Anderson, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the Mississippi Valley States as the head women's basketball coach.
Thank you, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Kimberly Anderson, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you very much. You stay blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.